In this week's program, we're visiting with Furbearer biologist Stephanie Tucker. We're going to talk populations, and we're going to talk about a few regulation changes Furbearer hunters and trappers need to be aware of. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department.
We do have a couple changes this year. One of the changes is to our river otter trapping season. And so that season is limited by an overall harvest limit for the entire season. And for the last several years, that overall harvest limit has been 25. And we were able to increase that harvest limit to 30 this year. So there's a little bit more opportunity out there for trappers who want to try and harvest a river otter. And just as a reminder, that river otter trapping season is for residents only, and it's only trapping, and it's one per trapper. And you'll have to register or report that harvest within 12 hours of harvesting that river otter. We do have one more change, and that is to the season length for our night hunting season for fox and coyote. So for a long time now, our night hunting season for coyotes and fox has closed in mid-March with the rest of our Furbearer seasons, so March 15th. And there's been a lot of interest from the public in extending that season for primarily to help out livestock producers who might be calving later into the spring past that March 15th deadline. And just as a little bit of background, you know, a livestock producer who was having problems with coyotes harassing or predating their cattle always had the opportunity or the ability to go ahead and remove coyotes outside of the regular hunting season, using whatever means really necessary to do that and protect their livestock. But it was just a little bit, you know, unclear to a lot of people on how they could help livestock producers in that endeavor. And so we've extended the night hunting season for coyotes and fox to the end of May, so May 31st. So now it starts at the same time, late November after the deer gun season closes, you can start night hunting, and then it goes till May 31st. So one thing we encourage people to remember with the night hunting for fox and coyote, a night hunting season is to be done exclusively on foot. And so you have to be out of your vehicle with your firearm, out of your vehicle with your Fox Pro or your collar. You can't be sitting in your vehicle at night on the road calling fox and coyote. It has to be done exclusively on foot. And the other thing we want to remind people about night hunting is it takes a little bit more. It might take just a little bit more time and effort for you to properly identify your target before you pull the trigger. You just never can tell when something like maybe a domestic dog is running around North Dakota at night, or even a wolf. And so be sure that, you know, when you are identifying your target at night, you take that extra effort to make sure it's a coyote before you pull the trigger. So none of our coyote population trends that we collect data for are indicating anything spectacular going on with coyotes. Of course, coyote numbers are still good in the state. We're always going to be a coyote stronghold, at least we have been for several decades now. But as far as long-term trends, you know, 10-year trend, you know, coyotes are about 37% below that, actually, our long-term trend in the state. So they're going to be similar to last year. You might see pockets where they're good, and you might see pockets where they're not as good, but they're definitely not going through the roof by any means. There's definitely some interest in skunks. Striped skunks is our primary species here in North Dakota. The last year here, there was a boom in the fur market for skunks this past spring, summer. And so buyers were paying pretty high prices, historically high prices for striped skunks. The market for skunks is sort of a novelty trade market, a lot of, you know, novelty items and things like hats and things like that made out of those skunk pelts. And there was just no supply to meet that novelty trade for skunks. And so buyers were paying premium prices for striped skunks this past spring and summer. And so we expect, you know, that there'll be a lot of interest from trappers and hunters in going after skunks this coming season. And so if they're interested in doing that, just know that, you know, skunk populations fluctuate in North Dakota from one year to the next. Some areas are going to be good, some other areas not so good. Our stronghold this year particularly looks probably like the prairie pothole region of the state. That's typically where we have the most skunks in the state. Less so south and west of the Missouri, and less so in the Red River Valley area. But that central area, North Dakota, usually is good skunk populations. Our population trend indices for skunks are statewide, and they're kind of broken down by large regions, and so we can't really hone in on a small area or a county level to tell somebody, yeah, skunks are going to be really good in this county or this part of this county. So the data we collect for skunks is not at that level of detail. I could just tell you, that our skunk numbers in the central part of the prairie pothole region in the state are looking pretty good this year. Mountain lion season will look the same as it has for the last several years. There's really no changes there. We expect the population to be pretty similar to last year. We have no evidence that anything, up or down big is going on with mountain lions. That being said, our mountain lion harvest limit for the late season last year was not met. I did hear from a lot of people out there pursuing mountain lions that they were still finding mountain lions and mountain lion tracks and baying mountain lions with hounds and things like that, but the harvest did not get met. The harvest limit did not get met last season for our late season. So no big changes there for mountain lions. No changes to the bobcat regulations. Population trends seem pretty stable. We have the eastern half and the western half of the state. The eastern half, bobcat population is primarily located up in that Pembina Gorge region. And so there's going to be opportunity to harvest up to 8 bobcats in that area of the state. Western North Dakota has a different regulations for those. There's no limit, there's no harvest limit, and there's no bag limit for hunters and trappers out there. That being said, our bobcat population in North Dakota fluctuates following typically our cottontail rabbit cycle. And so when cottontail populations come up, which they look to be doing right now, cottontail cycle about every 10, 11 years in the state, our bobcat population typically follows that, and we'll see increased reproduction in years when we got good cottontail rabbit populations. And so, it was a pretty typical bobcat harvest last year. Trends for bobcat in western North Dakota are pretty stable, but again, if rabbits are cycling up, maybe in the next couple of years might be a little bit better for bobcats. We have a population of American marten up in the Turtle Mountains, and we're very interested in determining whether or not that population is abundant enough and robust enough to have us open a regulated trapping season for marten. But we just weren't collecting enough data and information on marten passively through other means, and so we decided to embark on a research project that we got funded, and we're collaborating with the Michigan State University on that research project to actually estimate abundance of American marten in the Turtle Mountains. And so we just wrapped up our 3rd and final field season for that research project. We're waiting on the final report from Michigan State University, but things are looking good, and the research was successful. They're refining some of their abundance estimates, and at this point in time, we expect to be probably proposing a trapping season for American marten up in the Turtle Mountains in 2026. So typically muskrats are one of our top 2, behind coyotes, muskrats are very popularly harvested furbearer in North Dakota. We have some years we have really good muskrat populations. This year is not one of those years. It looks like they're going to be pretty similar. We're still pretty low on our muskrat population cycle. Not anything to brag home about for muskrat population trends by any means. So I think trappers could expect muskrat numbers similar to what they saw last year. We encourage anybody who sees a rare or uncommon furbearer in their area to go ahead on our online, on our website. We have a Furbearer harvest report set up for that. And we're really interested in things like black bears. Black bears are really easy to report for a lot of people because they're pretty conspicuous. So if you see a black bear, it's not often you'd confuse it with something else. Usually if you see a black bear, it's a black bear. We have black bear, it could show up anywhere in North Dakota at any time, but typically most of our black bear sightings come from the Pembina Gorge region or that northeast part of the state, as well as along the Red River Valley. We occasionally also get black bears up in the Turtle Mountain region or along the Souris Mouse River Valley. And even the last couple of years, we've had some black bears wandering around in western North Dakota in the Badlands region. So again, a black bear can turn up anywhere. If you see a black bear, we really would appreciate the public's help in keeping track of where they're at and when they pop up. And so just go online and report your black bear sighting. Black bears are big and they can pose risks to people, because of their size and they can be dangerous. And so just keep in mind, if you see a black bear, don't ever approach a black bear. If you see one off in the distance and it's not coming near you, just enjoy it and move away slowly. Black bears spend their entire lives following their nose around, looking for an easy meal. And so those easy meals can sometimes be found in people's yards or in towns, things like bird feeders, deer feeders. They'll tear open beehives, garbage if you leave your garbage setting out, pet food, things like that. And so if you have a black bear in your area or you see a black bear, make sure you don't have any food attractants, human food attractants that would draw that black bear into your area or your yard and give them an easy meal, because they learn also very quickly from that behavior. So if they get into your yard, and they ransack your bird feeder, and there was no negative consequences to that interaction, that's just a behavior they're going to keep repeating. And so if you have a black bear in your yard, remove all food attractants, please. That's the easiest way to avoid a conflict with a black bear. But besides black bears, other things we're interested in reporting your sightings of things are like American marten or fishers or river otters or mountain lions, even weasels. These are all species of furbearers that don't lend themselves well to our traditional survey methods. You know, we can't drive around or fly around and count mountain lions. They just don't lend themselves to that kind of survey technique. And so information and reports and observations from the public go a long way for us, and that really helps us keep track of the distribution of those species and, you know, relatively, you know, if numbers are going up or down in a region. And so we really appreciate when people report those sightings. There's just a lot of opportunity to hunt and trap furbearers in North Dakota. We got a wide variety of species, a lot of opportunity out there. For more information on hunting or trapping any of those furbearer species, see our website for our combined upland game, waterfowl, and furbearer guide.